identifying that problem is sometimes the very best starting point. It's something I just kept coming back to in this. I was like, a lot of it, we talked, like I said, about, we made it much harder to buy a house, but then we made it so that nobody can afford to buy a house.
Yeah.
It's like nobody has any wealth. And the people who did hang on in the stock market, housing and all that from 2008, those people are richer to a degree than everybody else in society. They're the ones who are buying all the new homes. It's not just housing stock. It really is a demand thing. It's like the people who, it's just, inequality has just gotten so crazy that the top third of the economy basically just run everything. They have all the money.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And the entire market is created to cater to their needs and their interests.
Can't make any money selling to a 50 percentile household.
That's why you have, that's why you have the housing market that looks the way that it does. That's why you have, so much of our economy set up as this divide between like the people who are being catered to and the people who are doing the catering, also known as the quote unquote essential workers. And as we talked about before, whether or not you're a homeowner is increasingly becoming the like most significant class divide in America. So obviously incomes correlate to that, but really the big dividing line is, are you an asset owner? Especially because now you have this vested interest in this group of people who are homeowners who want to see the prices of their houses continue to escalate and escalate and escalate, and they tend to be much more politically powerful. So that's part of the reason also why you see the market as it is and why you have this continued increase in prices year over year over year. So I think you have to deal with both things. I mean, we can't just have housing costs continue to escalate into the stratosphere. You have to flood the market with new housing that is much more affordable. You do have this major issue of, we just haven't built enough housing stock after the financial crisis whatsoever to meet the need. And then we also have to help people to be able to compete with permanent capital, or just friggin' ban permanent capital from coming in and snatching up the stock that does exist. I really feel that the housing issue is one of the most sort of like under-talked about, under-covered issues in American society today. It's not just an American problem either, by the way. There's a lot of global issues here as well as going on in the UK, for example, as well. But this is such a critical pain point. I really think if you have a political party that is serious and has a solution that makes sense to people, they're going to benefit overwhelmingly, because it is such an extraordinary issue for so many people who can't get their foot on the first ladder to some sort of stability.
Right. I mean, home ownership rate amongst the millennials, even at the upper bound, is only 48%. Amongst the general population, it's like 65%. So you've already seen that decrease.
Yeah.
And the starter home was a great idea. You could purchase it on a single earner income when you're like 26 years old. I mean, you saw that chart. You don't have to save that much money.
Yeah.
You save, if a house is $25,000, 10% down is 2 years of saving like, what, 5–10% of your income? That's not that much. It's easily attainable. And then you build some equity, you could sell that, maybe you make some more money, and you roll it up into the next house and eventually get the suburban.
There are also societal advantages to having a more rooted society.
Oh, yeah, of course,
I mean, if you want to talk, like, think about those sort of like traditional conservative values of like family and community and rootedness, and people who are rooted in a place have more political power. All of those things build on each other. I mean, you're not going to have those like civic institutions when you have a more transient population, which is what, if you're a renter, usually you're sort of pushed in that direction of being more transient because, you force down over a rent price increase or for a variety of reasons. So yeah, it is a true sort of catastrophe at the heart of the problem. And I also think that, we only started talking about inflation this year, but on the key costs that really make up like the good life in terms of just like basic middle class stability and prosperity. You're talking about healthcare, education, and housing. Those costs have been skyrocketing for generations. And that's part of why you feel so many people feel such a pinch. It's part of why you see low savings rates, part of why you see high, credit card debt rates, all of those things, and very little focus from politicians on how to deal with it. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.